for tuning in to my best and worst so far of 2014. I'm choosing to make this video now instead of waiting till December to do a full year's worth of books, just because last year I did a best and worst of 2013 and the video was over 20 minutes long. Mainly because I read 338 books. As of today's date, currently filming this video, I have read 257 books, so I very well may go over my total of 338 for last year. And it's already July, it's the 7th month of the year, so we're over the 6-month mark, so I figure what better time than now to share with you guys the best and worst so far of this year that I've currently read. So that is the whole reason why I'm filming this now. Okay, I've been wanting to make this video for quite a while now. I just got some spare time, so let's get into this. Yes, I have read quite a few books, and the reason why my totals are so high is because I read a lot of graphic novels. As you can see, most of them are rated 3 stars, then there's 4 stars, and very few are actually rated 5 stars. So we'll go over the best of 2014 so far. And these are not in the order that I read them. It's just the order that Goodreads had put them in. The first book is Ocean by Warren Ellis. This book is a science fiction fantasy book about Europa, which is Jupiter's moon. It was a kind of a spy, conspiracy theory kind of book. It was very interesting. One that I thought was very good. And, of course, Warren Ellis wrote it, so he's a good writer anyways. If you have not heard me rave about Preacher, this is the book that ended that series, Volume 9. It's been a while since I've read it, so I can't really tell you too much about it other than the fact that it ended the series. It was the epic showdown. DMZ, Volume 1, On the Ground. This is a book set in the future, and there's like another American Civil War. And this guy is a journalist, and he's stranded in the middle of Manhattan. And Manhattan is the DMZ. I thought this was a very good, strong start to this series, and that's why I rated it 5 stars. Next up, we have Wanted, Assassin's Edition by Mark Millar. This one I did do a review of if you want to go back into my videos and check it out. This book was very different than the movie. They should have based more of the book for the movie, because this was a very good book. It had superheroes, and I like the parodies of the villains and other heroes. It was kind of funny and entertaining at the same time. Next up, we have Fables, 1001 Nights of Snowfall. This is a prequel to the whole Fables series. And it's mainly how Snow White's going and trying to recruit the Arabian princes to help them with the Emperor. And she tells the background stories of a lot of the key main characters in the Fables series. So if you're a fan of the Fables, you might want to check out this one. I also did a review of this. Next up, we have The Unwritten, Volume 1, Tommy Taylor and the Bogus Identity.
I thought this was a very, very strong start for this series, but they kind of spoiled it in volume 2 or 3, and I really lost interest. But the whole, whether he was the character or if the character was based on him, I found that to be really, really interesting, and that's why I rated this book so high. Next up, Hellboy, Volume 9, The Wild Hunt, by Mike Mignola. This one I think I was so partial to because I'm really into British folklore and legends, and this one talks a little bit about like the Arthurian legend, and it was a great story. Batman and Robin, Volume 2, Batman vs. Robin. This is with I can't remember his name right now, but he used to be a Robin and he became Batman. And the Robin is Damian Wayne. He's the son of Bruce Wayne. So it's kind of an interesting touch on how conflicted the Robin is with his role as Robin, because he was trained by the League of Assassins and he's trained to kill, but yet Batman and Robin don't kill people. So I thought it was a great story for that reason. Next up, this is a children's book. I have kids, so of course I read children's books every once in a while. This one is called Oh No, or How My Science Project Destroyed the World by Mac Barnett. This was not very much text to it. It was mostly a story told in pictures. But it reminded me of the old Godzilla films, you know, with the oversized robots and destroying the city and stuff. It was a very fun book. Next up we have Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I did do a review of this book. If you have not read it or heard about it, it's set in 2044. The Great Recession is still going on, and everybody plays this MMO called the Oasis, and they're trying to win the grand prize, which is to control the ownership of the Oasis and this guy's estate. Really, really good book. Rachel Rising, The Shadow of Death, Volume 1. This one was a little bit like another book that came out around the same time, but I thought this one was a better example of the dead coming back to life and what was the mystery of why they came back to life. I'm trying to think of what the other book was. I know I didn't rate it as high as I did this one. Maybe I rated that one 4 stars. Revival, that was it. Yeah, I thought that Rachel's Rising was way better than Revival. Okay, this one was an audio book, In the Tall Grass by Stephen King and Joe Hill. I can't really tell you too much about this because if I tell you too much, it'll spoil it. But anyways, there's this, like, field off the side of Highway 81, or Mile 81 or whatever, and there's a creature that lives in the field that kind of tricks people to go into it, and then it, like, makes them go crazy or controls them, and then they're, like, trapped in it, and then they're used to lure more people in. It was a really smart, thrilling, it was an entertaining story. Ultimate Comics Spider-Man Volume 4. This is the one with the Miles Morales Spider-Man, and it's him against Venom. This was very interesting because the Venom's trying to track him down, thinking he's the old Spider-Man. The Reformation, Phoenix Project number 2 by M.R. Pritchard. This was a pretty good book. It was way better than the first one in the series. I don't know when I'm going to get around to reading the third one, but this is a dystopian set in the future and how like this government agency is trying to take over the world. Walking Dead Volume 19, March to War. This is the one where I can't tell you too much because I'll spoil it if you haven't read The Walking Dead. But it's a pivotal moment in the comic. Basically, the title kind of tells you all that. Okay, now let's get to the worst of 2014 so far. These were the books that I thought were the worst. And I do have to admit that even if I think a book deserves a 1 star, I generally will finish reading it before I give up on it. I just have that slight hope that a book will turn around and redeem itself, but sometimes that doesn't happen. Powers Volume 2 Roleplay. This is one of the books that people rave about, and I just couldn't get into it. It's like a alternate world where people have real superpowers, and it was kind of boring, I thought. I don't know if it was the pacing or how it was written. Checkmate Volume 1, A King's Game by Greg Rucka. This is a new 52 by DC, and it's like DC's response to S.H.I.E.L.D. from Marvel. I couldn't get into this one either because the whole ranking is named after chess pieces. I thought it was really lame. Wasteland, Book 2, Shades of God. This one had so much like little political conspiracy stuff going on and talking about religion and no real introduction to the society that's post-apocalyptic society. And I never read Volume 1, so I don't know if that's why I didn't like this, but I think I wasn't the only one who didn't like it. Astro City, Dark Age, Brothers and Other Strangers. This is kind of like this guy Kurt Busiek had written the Avengers, and I thought this was going to be great, but so lacking. It was so kind of boring and not much excitement to it. Counter X Volume 1. I don't know how many volumes they did of this series, but not too many. Another one by Warren Ellis, and I'm surprised it was so bad. Invincible Volume 1, Family Matters by Robert Kirkman. Yes, this is the same Robert Kirkman that does The Walking Dead. I just couldn't get into his superhero. He was too unoriginal, so much like Spider-Man and other Marvel superheroes that I had read, and I just didn't like it. And for some reason, the cover they show is the back of the book. That's not the front cover. But Goodreads has this back cover for the front. Jubilee, another Robert Kirkman. Jubilee has got to be one of the lamest X-Men ever. And this story just tries too hard with the conspiracy, like mystery spy element, and it's just, it was so bad. Cinderella Volume 2, Fables Are Forever. This is a spin-off from Fables. I just can't see Cinderella as a secret agent. And then Dorothy from Oz is like she's working for the Russians. It's just so, it's shit. Let's just say that. I know there were a few people that loved Fables that really liked this series, but I hated it. This next one is a French graphic novel, The Last Days of an Immortal by Fabien Velleman. This is one where the science fiction set in the future, it was so bizarre, and the artwork just made everybody look the same. It was hard to keep track of what characters were what, and the story wasn't very entertaining. Julio's Day by Gilbert Hernandez. He works on another comic book series. I think it's called Love and Rockets. But the title is misleading. I talked about this in my a video I made about alternative or diverse graphic novels, and Julio is a Mexican American who is gay, but it didn't even talk about Julio. It was all about his family, so I thought it was really lame. And this is Darlings of Decay. This is by multiple zombie authors. This is one I did not finish reading. I may pick it up at some time and try to finish it, but it was just so bad. And I don't think it was all totally the stories that were in it. It was the way they cut down the stories and what they chose to put in it. Because they gave you like little bits, and the little bits were not that great, or they were kind of out of sequence, and it was really bad. I just gave up on it. I was like, I can't read this anymore. So that is my best and worst of 2014 so far. Questions, comments, have you read any of these? And do you think I'll break my record of 338 for this year? So yeah, that's it.